Order in the house, please. That's what I do. I ask people to be quiet most of the day. So I'm an expert. Good evening. I'll speak in English, but I'll also try to talk to you. There are certain parts that I'll say in Arabic. أنا اسمي ريام Kafri أنا مديرة مدرسة Friends, and I'm a proud mama today because look at my kids. Wow. Could you see like that? All right. Ever since I was a child, I was asked continuously, what is your favorite color? What are you going to do when you grow up? Where will you go to study? What will you major in? And I was expected to give one answer. Like I'm a monochromatic, I like to call this a monochromatic answer. My favorite color is red. I want to study at Harvard. I'd like to be a teacher. The truth is, when we're asked these kinds of questions, most of us really don't have one answer. And we are fighting the urge to say, well, at 20, red was my favorite color. Red, vibrant and bright. In my early 30s, I kind of liked black and blue, mysterious, elegant, forever classic. And then somewhere in my mid-30s, I fell in love with pastels. And now back in my early 40s, I'm back at blue, accented with silver. I'm fighting the urge to tell you that I am complex, that I want to be a teacher, and I want to write, and I want to bake wedding cakes. And that's the thing. We ask our kids to be monochromatic. We ask them to not really embrace change. And we're asking them to define themselves with one career, one definition. But we are a dynamic species, ever evolving. Change, in fact, is encoded in our genes. It is where we begin and where we end. At 0 years, this is how we all looked. Uninteresting, monocellular, indistinguishable. Right? But then we went through several morphological changes. Thank God for that. And we ended up looking like this. And metamorphosis, if you will. Right? We have 10 toes, 10 fingers, a specific color, hair color, curly hair, straight hair, a distinguishable smile, an individual smirk. And that's what happened, a metamorphosis. If change is encoded in our genes, then why do we expect not to evolve as we grow older, right? The truth is, in evolutionary biology, a lot of what we know about ourselves as a species and about the world comes from another form of change, insect metamorphosis. 80% of insects actually undergo some kind of metamorphosis during their lifetime. And the evolutionary reason for that is you're trying to eliminate the competition between the offspring and adults. So essentially, this fascinating biological process is really all about survival, about adaptation, about being able to survive and to exist. Interestingly though, metamorphosis is an analogy that's applicable in many, many places, and it's a reoccurring theme, whether in children's books, or movies, or art. Anywhere you see, we talk about change. And from competing, and what we see really is things like the ugly duckling turning into a swan, and Chandler changing careers. Remember that? Those of you who watched Friends. So if change is encoded in our genes, if we are genetically capable of it, why do we expect our children to give singular answers and to stick to them? Why do we expect our children to be monochromatic rather than colorful rainbows? I see this almost every year. 16 and 17 and 18-year-olds who sit across the table from me with their parents, trying to abbreviate who they are in one sentence, one school, one major, one career. And they're struggling. And usually the sentence starts with, when I grow up, I want to be a doctor. Really? Do you know how many doctors there are in Palestine? Or when I grow up, I want to be a lawyer. Or when I grow up, I want to be an engineer. They sit across the table agonizing, hours, trying to summarize who they are in one simple word. But it's no secret that the realities of being Palestinian and living under occupation left Palestinians focused on education. We have a high literacy rate that hovers around 97%. And there's always a common narrative in Palestinian stories. There is the refugee who lost everything, who then put everything they owned after they brought their life back up into their children's education. And suddenly here's a family of doctors and lawyers and professionals who are now getting married and raising another generation, telling them that they should also be professionals. Right? And that's where we start. That's where our narrative goes. But after all, usually people in struggle, actually that's how they survive. Education is your salvation. Education is your way to freedom. In a country with limited resources and limited water, limited movement, limited land, we think that the only way to get our children out of this misery is to tell them to be more educated. And that is correct, right? However, the job market in Palestine tells an entirely different story. Every year, 40,000 students graduate from universities. And the job market can only offer 9,000 new jobs. So something is going on here. We know this. These are statistics from the Palestinian Central Bureau for Statistics. And it's public knowledge. Yet parents sit across the table from me and push their child to take physics, push their child to take biology, and ask them to go on and be a doctor. So what do? As parents and as educators, what do? We ask the same monotonous questions, and better, and we look at why do we have to have one answer? So I want you, the adults in the room, to ask yourself, what did you want to be when you grow up? What are you actually doing now? What do you really want to be doing right now? And I bet you're going to get a lot of answers. Multiple answers. What if the answers to those questions actually changed with time? What if we can morph into new forms? What if we reinvent ourselves over and over again? And now I want to share with you a series of confessions. Confession number 1. My specialty, medicinal organic chemistry. My reality, I'm a theory of knowledge teacher. Here, RFS. Confession number 2. Favorite thing to do? Read food memoirs and cookbooks. And maybe one day write my own. Reality, cook for food for a hungry family and read student essays. Confession number 3. This is the big one. If you think you knew me, you don't know. The dream, I want to be a writer. The reality, I'm a school principal. The reality of it all is I everybody should know that I was a really smart kid, and I ranked top 1% of my class, and I grew up in a family that valued education, and I also grew up with a father who thought girls could do anything. Anything. And by anything I mean chemistry, science, biology, physics, math. Alright, so because I was a smart kid and a hard-working student, I went to college and I studied chemistry. And I was lucky enough to go to a liberal arts college where I could actually take interesting classes like, for example, African American literature. On my transcript, I have more humanities courses than anyone minoring in humanities, along with all of my chemistry and biochemistry classes. During my third year in college, my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer, and that was very devastating because I had to deal with science and cancer got really personal. Like they actually infringed on my personal space. By the time I found out that she was sick, she had already gone through a lumpectomy, she had already gone through 2 chemotherapy sessions, and that light in her eye that warms me up had faded. So, you know where I got my comfort? Science. I could tell you, I was the only one in the room who could explain to you why Taxol was the better option as a chemotherapeutic agent. I knew exactly what it meant to have a P53 mutation and a BRCA1 mutation. So on that hot July afternoon when I arrived in Ramallah, I arrived at Caterpillar. And I found out my mother was sick. So I took all the anger on the world, all the questioning that I had in my head, and I built a cocoon around myself, and I emerged a scientist. It was final. I'm going to conquer the world and save the world, one molecule at a time. So I went on to graduate school, and this is actually my work. I used computer-based drug design to design 5 new anti-HIV compounds that went on to in vitro and enzyme tests. And but I remember that during that time, I could not stop myself from reading novels and food memoirs in particular. So there was this passion that kept pulling at me. Read more, write more. And so to kind of alleviate the pressure, because you're in the lab 18 hours a day, I read more. I read more novels. I started to write journal entries. And a dear friend of mine, who's a professor now at the University of Sussex, said to me, one day you will find the path that will bring together all that you know and all that you want to do in one. But for now, your path has round bottom flasks, a fume hood, and a laboratory. Get it done and get it over with. That's it. So I buckled up, and I said, yeah, I'm going to get this done. And I finished my PhD and came home because that was the deal. You go to the US, you return. There's a country waiting for you to serve. So my first 2 years I spent in the industry, and I was so proud of myself because I was now not only saving the world, I'm going to save Palestine one compound at a time. And then it was a total twist of fate. I was at a friend's house. The dean of academics at Al-Quds University asked if I was interested in teaching. And I come from a long line of teachers, and I said, not really. Sure, I'll give it a try. And that's when I taught my first general chemistry course. I walked into this classroom. There were 6 or 7 students eagerly looking at me, waiting for me to tell them the truth about chemistry, and I fell in love. I knew right away that I had found a piece of this universe that will only belong to me, a classroom. But also at BARD, we are required to teach writing, so I had to come up to, I was thrilled. Oh, you mean I get to teach writing? Absolutely, I'll do it. And I spent an entire 10 days in New York in a workshop for language and thinking, which is a course, a writing course, and a thinking course. And when I emerged from that week, I had no access to Facebook. I was really focused. I emerged a writer. And now my hypergraphia, my urge to write, was unbelievable. I could not stop it. So I started a blog. And there I wrote about my time on Qalandia, the number of checkpoints I passed every day, the Israeli soldier who kept asking me every day, where are you going? And every day I'm like, Paris, where do you think I'm going? Look at me. I'm going to Ramallah, dude. So, and then I also wrote a love letter to the man who ended up being my husband. And I wrote many things. And I became a mother, and I was still writing on this blog. Metamorphosis number 3. I got married, and a year later, sure enough, I became a mother. And I had Bassett and Taima. And you know, the thing about motherhood is that it really is a morphological change, not just in your hips. It cracks you open, wide open to the world. You are vulnerable, you are strong, you are powerful, you are emotional. Your tears start falling down for no reason. It's everything. And the truth is, us women, like Alicia wrote, we don't really give birth and become a mother. We actually have to grow into it. You have to learn how to be a mother. And that took me a little bit of time, right? You have to. And they're both screaming, and I have no idea what to do. But during my time on maternity leave, I finally, I had an incredible urge to write, and I read this amazing book about how women, when they give birth, they have, because of their hormonal changes, their frontal lobes are stimulated, and they could become more creative. And so my creativity was being poured into the one thing that I really trusted was writing. So writing actually saved me. And on May 2012, about 6 months after I gave birth, I took the risk and I published an article this week in Palestine. It was a story of my mother-in-law and how she became a refugee in 1948. And then I became the editor of this book in Palestine. Another metamorphosis. And then after 6 years at Abu Dis and 6 years of writing about that same checkpoint and passing that same checkpoint, my kids were growing older, I couldn't be there anymore. And a friend of mine called and said, I heard you're looking for a job. You know, RFS is looking for an upper school principal. And that friend of mine is in the room today, and he was a former teacher. I said, no, I'm a teacher. I'm not an administrator. And he said, no, I think you should think of this. I called my husband, and I called my mother. Both of them said, I would go for it. And I became a school principal. And much like motherhood, you don't wake up as a school principal. You actually have to grow into it. And much like motherhood, the principalship isn't tied to hours. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I spend most of my day going, please, don't do that. Yet my teenager students will do it, whatever I said not to do. Please, don't smoke. Do you think they listen? Of course not. Where is your uniform? What happened to your homework again? Why are you late? That's how I spend my day. But I actually enjoy it very, very much. It's one of my favorite things to do. And the sense of pride I have of these kids as they've changed is unbelievable. So, once again, I had to change. But the one thing that hasn't changed over the last 3 years of being a principal is my urge to write. And of course, there are all kinds of writing that I do. I write emails, I write notices, I write warnings, I write letters of recommendations, and I'm always behind, let's face it, it's a lot of work. But then, last April, I had taken a hiatus from writing, creative writing, and when I was in This Week in Palestine, Semi and I had a lot of conversations conversations about food and what food looks like in Palestine and the importance of food in Palestine, and food security and water resources and agriculture. And I spent a few months at the Qattan Foundation working on this, researching some of these ideas, and before I became a principal. And in April, I sat down. They had an edition on culture, and there was nothing about food in it. And so I volunteered to write an article. And I was right in the middle of theory of knowledge essays, and I just said, no, I'll do it. I promise you I'll do it, but I need until the 20th of March before I submit the article. And I sat down, and 3 years of reading articles about food appropriation, watching the New York Times call shakshuka Israeli, and claim that the latest latte craze is Israeli sahla, just came pouring out. And I wrote a piece on the splendid Palestinian table. The foodie in me, the 19-year-old and the 22-year-old and the 28-year-old who read those food memoirs could not have been happier because I was writing this piece. And after that, I realized that another metamorphosis has happened. I can no longer deny that I love the kitchen, I love Palestinian kitchen, and I want to write about it. So in July, I started my own blog, and I don't write much during the school year because, let's face it, I am reading student essays. But the truth is, this is another metamorphosis in the making. It's not final. I don't know where I will be in 10 years. I don't know where this change will lead in 10 years. But I know one thing. I will continue to reinvent myself over and over and over again. Because if I do that, I'm going to have multiple lives in one lifetime. So when you sit across the table from your principal next week and you tell them what school you're going to study in, just remember that one choice, that one major, that one decision that you make at 17 when you could barely decide if you should wear your uniform or not will never define you. You are a rainbow. You are prismatic. You are far more diverse, far more interesting than one career. Thank you.